So in this video we're going to be taking a look at how to drive a vehicle over a rock ledge using this 2017 Discovery 5, and from this angle you can see it's pretty steep, fairly loose and rocky, and the ledge is such that the nose of the Discovery, even in off-road height, and yes it is in rock crawl with the DSC off, is only just able to clear it. And here's another view of the Discovery 5 approaching the hill. You can see that it's fairly steep as it looks in the camera. The vehicle's lifting a wheel and wheel spinning the front wheels a little bit. Now approaching that ledge square on, and what you're going to see is that the front wheels are going to pop up over it fairly easily, and the reason for that is because there's not much weight on them because it's steep, but there's a lot more weight on the back wheels, and that is where difficulty is going to happen getting those up and over the ledge. So we give it another try and just a little bit more momentum in a slightly different line, see if that makes a difference. Not quite. Now here I'm backing the Discovery backwards, but take a look at the front wheels. They're completely locked whilst the car rolls backwards, and that's a problem I've highlighted in another video where older Land Rovers tended to unlock their centre diffs whilst going backwards, and you can see exactly what's happening there with this Discovery 5. That's really bad news on hills. Now to get more momentum, this is exactly where you start from, so the wheels are just on top of that ledge, because that way they don't need to bounce up, and then you can accelerate as far as you can and see if it gets over, and not quite. We're starting in second gear low range, and we've got our left foot on the brake, and then we just bring the revs up, and then it allows us to launch the car. Now, there again is that problem with the front wheels locking. Now we're going to try a different line, and this is what happens when you go slightly diagonally. So the left wheel goes first. You can see that the wheel spins a bit because the car goes cross axle. Then look, front left wheel spinning a bit more than the right wheel, and as the car comes up it slews sideways. So that sort of technique really doesn't work very effectively, and again we can see the same sort of thing happening here. So if you're going to get over a ledge like this, you want to hit it square on. Now this side view allows you to see how steep that ledge is, but also look what happens when you try and apply the accelerator. Well, the vehicle just restricts the throttle. Okay, so we're now going to get the vehicle up the slope, and we're just going to use enough momentum with a square on approach, and that is going to do the trick. Now we're going to see a similar problem with a Ford Bronco. Now this is a little bit different because what's happening is the Bronco is kind of idling up to that problem right there, then applying power, and it's not working. It needs to get the power on just a bit before the ledge and keep it on, and that way the momentum will take him up and over. Doesn't quite manage it. But is getting good advice from somebody close by. Now if we just go back to the point where the front wheels are almost over the ledge, about there, then with momentum that should work.
Stay in it, stay in it, stay in it, stay in it. You're good. Keep going.
It does. Okay, now let's take a look at the principle for both the Discovery and the Bronco using a radio controlled model. So we can demonstrate what's going on with a radio controlled model. So here we're just going to crawl up and over. We're going to get to the point where the back wheels are over, and if we just apply the accelerator, nothing happens. So what we have to do is go back, line up a bit, about there, and just apply a little bit of momentum and it will come up and over, like that. Sometimes the obstacle's too tall like this, and no matter how hard we hit it, it's just not going to work. Now I wouldn't do this in real life, I only do this with a model, right? So let's try an oblique approach where we come in with an angle like that, and just before we get to the obstacle we turn the wheel, and then one wheel can come up, then the other wheel. Now that may or may not work for the rear axle, we'll try it and see. It doesn't, the car skids around, which is normal. What we can do now is try our momentum approach. So we can just try a little momentum and see how that works for us, almost. And don't be afraid to try multiple times, that's fine. Back to the point where the wheels are just about there, and there we go, up and over. And that will work in real life as well as radio controlled. Finally, let's back the vehicle down the slope, and to do that we just got to go really slowly, because any bouncing, any speed means that that nose might crunch, so the slower we go the better. And the fact that the centre diff doesn't lock up is not helping things when we try and do this slowly either.